Well, good Thursday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Thursday evening going into your future. We have some information to go on and talk about for tonight. And as you can see by the title screen right here, our heavy rain and flash flooding threat is finally here. Our heavy rain and flash flooding threat is finally here. And when I say it's finally here, I mean seriously, it's finally here. And we will be talking about why in quite literally about a minute or so. But first, before we even say that, number one, if you look inside the chat right now, drought predictions, that is inside of the chat right now. So go on and vote inside of the drought predictions if you have not already. You have four options. The drought has expanded because currently we do have a drought in the state of South Carolina. The drought has shrunk or stayed the same. The drought is gone, but the abnormally dry remains. The abnormally dry is the area that's not a drought, but it is pretty dry. And then drought and abnormally dry is both gone. So go on and put your answers inside the chat. I'll give my answers as I already have it picked out for tonight. And we'll go in and check that out in just a moment. What's on tap? Well, slow moving cold front brings scattered to widespread showers and storms through the weekend. Storms favor efficient rain production and localized flooding, which is why we have a marginal risk and a slight risk of excessive rainfall over the next couple of days. Some relief from the heat as well with increasing of cloud cover and a transition to a more summer-like pattern as we move into next week. All of that we're going to go on and talk about, but if you have not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please go on and do so. Also hit the share button as it is free. It is free. It is free. Now, just starting off with the live radar for what we always go on and start with. One thing that you do notice that immediately comes to mind here is we have a light green boundary over here in the upstate, and then we have some shower activity that's occurring all the way throughout the upstate into the PD areas, over inside areas of the Midlands as well. And so, what is this for? Heavy rainfall. So, you see this green boundary that we have that surrounds Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, even goes into Alabama a little bit. This boundary is for heavy rainfall and increasing coverage of showers and storms this evening with heavy rainfall rates will pose concerns for areas of flash flooding, including potential for some urban impacts. And so, this is what I mean when I say the heavy rainfall threat that we have is starting. It started. It's here. And you can already see we have rainfall tracking from the upstate over into the PD areas. Now, if you look over here near Anderson, this looks like this where the main batch of some heavy rainfall is kind of falling over here near Anderson, over there, moving towards Star and due west inside of South Carolina. But don't lose track of the areas over here inside the very, Piedmont areas going over into the PD areas because there are a couple of showers and downpours that are going on in these areas over here in the east. And also, look down here near Georgetown, towards McClellanville, just towards the south and the east of Georgetown. We have shower activity that continues its way kind of away from Georgetown, but you see these two down here, two cells down here that continue to move its way down towards the south and east, and then you have this one over here just to the east that seems to be trying to kind of just move its way over towards the east, most likely. So rainfall is going on throughout a good amount of the state. Now, in terms of what's going on throughout the entire U.S., we do have some rainfall going on in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida. Tropical depression Bertha, it now is. Tropical storm Bertha is no longer with us anymore. It is now tropical depression. Tropical depression Bertha now with 35-mile-per-hour winds, not high enough to be a tropical storm as it traverses its way throughout Houston and going to move its way over towards like the Gonzales area in Texas and further west, wherever that batch of rainfall decides to go to afterwards. But you definitely can see that it's moved on land, not going to move over water, and it's done. Bertha is done. They probably will issue their last advisory for Bertha tonight, and then tomorrow we'll be done with it completely. Now, we do have some rainfall with some more storm potential over here in the west, from Washington State down to the Four Corners region, all the way into the central U.S. Rainfall activity is happening for a lot of these areas, but look over in the Midwest, the Great Lakes area, the Northeast, looking pretty good up there. Now, in terms of cloud cover, it does seem like that we are continuing to see some mostly cloudy conditions. Rather, if you're from the upstate down towards the coastal areas, you can see cloud cover that makes its way through from upstate down the coast. And if you look at the cloud cover for the future, as we push this forward going into tonight, going even into tomorrow morning. Again, that cloud cover activity stays with us all the way through into tomorrow afternoon. We into tomorrow evening, going into tomorrow night. Saturday morning comes along. Oh, still seeing a good amount of cloud cover, but you are seeing some clear patches. And, it's not completely all just completely cloudy. You're going to have clear patches. You're going to see some blue sky here and there, but mostly cloudy conditions stay with us throughout the next 48 hours. Now, as we take a look at our current temperatures right now, we're talking about 86 in Somerville, 84 Charleston, 87 Orangeburg, even 84 in Georgetown, 83 Myrtle Beach, and even 84 in Conway, 78 in Hartsville, and 70 in York, Spartanburg, 71 in Greenville, 78 Clemson, 79 Anderson, and 80 in Greenwood. And you might be asking, well, what in the world is going on here? Why in the world are we seeing such a more cooler temperature range from the upstate compared to what we're seeing in the Midlands, the Low Country, the Grand Strand areas? Well, cold front. We've been talking about this cold front for the past couple of days now, saying how this cold front is going to move its way over into the state going into today, and it's going to cause those temperatures to drop overnight and bring us a cooler day tomorrow. Now, does that mean that it's necessarily going to be the coolest for tomorrow? Absolutely not. Look at these high temperatures over there for Walterboro for tomorrow, 95. Look at the high temperatures for Moncks Corner tomorrow, 93. Charleston at 92. Myrtle Beach at 88, 90 in Sumter. But then look up in the upstate, 80. Greenville, 79. Spartanburg, 81. Rock Hill, 83, also inside of Anderson. So we are definitely seeing a good amount of temperature, not like disagreement, but like disparity in terms of the upstate and then compared to the Low Country and the Grand Strand areas. Now, I will say, as we move more into the weekend, that temperature change, it's still going to be pretty drastic. We're still going to see some 90s in areas of like the Low Country, but they're going to be low 90s. They're not really going to be mid to upper 90s. They're going to be lower 90s, and then compared to the upstate, they're going to be up into the 80s or so. So we are seeing a good amount of rainfall activity that will potentially hinder some of those temperatures also from getting as high as they should be as well. So all of that needs to be taken into account as some of these temperatures may be potentially lower. Now, low temperatures for tonight, we're talking about 68 in Spartanburg, 69 Rock Hill, even 73 in Columbia, 75 in Orangeburg, and even 76 in Walterboro, Moncks Corner, 77 in Georgetown, and 79 in Myrtle Beach, 80 Charleston, even 81 inside of Hilton Head Island. Now, in terms of the air quality for tonight, it does look like that a majority of us are inside that moderate area of air quality. Rather be from the Midlands to the PD to the Low Country. A lot of us are receiving moderate air quality. What does that mean? Not too good, not too bad. And if you're not in the yellow, you're in the good category, you don't have anything to worry about. If you're in the yellow, just watch for the air quality for tonight. Nothing to be concerned about. Just make sure that it doesn't get too bad for you. Also, another update on the Horse Island wildfire that's currently going on in Berkeley County. They haven't, I don't really see anything too changing about it. Still 40% contained. This was about 4 hours ago. They continue to go on and fight the fire over there inside near Schuylerville, around 1,011 acres over there. And there will still be some smoke. Now, right now, they do not have a dense smoke advisory over there inside of Berkeley County now. So they got rid of it, maybe because it won't be as bad as it has been. But there's no evacuations in effect. Threats to structures right now is low. And remember, this fire was discovered on July 18th at 4 p.m. And it's still under investigation on what caused this fire. They still do not know what caused this fire over there near Schuylerville. But for right now, it's 40% contained, no evacuation notices, no dense smoke advisory. So the smoke will not be as bad compared to past days, according to the National Weather Service. Now, with that, you may also, keep in mind that rainfall also could help us out with this wildfire situation, because if you get a good shower, you get a good downpour over there where that fire is, that could definitely help out with any sort of fire efforts that is taking place. Definitely can help out with that. And so, how much rainfall are we expecting over the next 24 hours? Well, if you look over towards like Kingstree and Moncks Corner, where those two areas kind of in between is the Schulerville area. It shows maybe a quarter of an inch to a half an inch over the next 24 hours. Good amount. You see other areas around a quarter of an inch to a half an inch like Columbia, Sumter going into Camden, maybe even Newbury and Spartanburg, Anderson, Rock Hill. Then maybe even as low as a hundredth of an inch to a tenth of an inch in areas like Charleston. Hilton Head Island may not get any. Maybe a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch in Barnwell, going on to Orangeburg, Florence. Half an inch to an inch in Cheraw, Winsboro, going on to Greenville, Georgetown. And then somebody may see a little bit more than an inch, but for right now, it's looking like maybe around a half an inch to an inch is the max that they're looking at on a forecast level for tonight going into tomorrow. But like I said, I definitely think that we could see more rainfall than that. Now, in terms of the SPC outlook, it's very weird because on the graphics website, they have a marginal risk of severe weather, which seems like it has now went away on like the main screen, but for some reason, it did not update on the South Carolina page for some reason. So there is no risk of severe weather for tonight. I don't know why it's doing that. Just a bug, I guess, on the National Weather Service or the Storm Prediction Center's website. But one thing that I do know is that no risk of severe weather for tonight. Ignore that marginal risk there. You should be, if you're in that dark green, just imagine you're in the light green. Thunderstorm activity is possible, but nothing severe. Tomorrow, though, things take a little bit of a turn. Marginal risk of severe weather for all of the low country, southern Midlands, and the PD and the Grand Strand areas. This is again a risk for damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour. If you're in the dark green, you have a 5% chance of receiving damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour. Now, Saturday comes along, and again, we're seeing just a regular risk of thunderstorm activity going into Saturday. Now, as we go on and take a look at excessive rainfall, because this is the biggest threat, in my opinion, we start off and we look at the upstate. You look at the PD areas. You look at the Grand Strand. You look in the Midlands. You see a yellow area. What does that yellow area mean? If you're in the yellow for tonight, you have a 15% risk of flash flooding. 15% risk of flash flooding. And if you're in the green, you have a 5% risk of flash flooding within 25 miles. So if you're in the dark, if you're in the green, you have a 5%, yellow 15. If you're not in any of the risks for tonight, like down here in the low country over in the southern Midlands, you have no risk of excessive rainfall for tonight. But tomorrow, all of that changes. Watch as we go into tomorrow. Now almost the entire state of South Carolina, except for areas like Gaffney, Fort Mill, Tegakay, and Lake Wylie, is inside of a risk for a 15% risk of flash flooding. And then if you're in the green, you have a 5% risk of flash flooding here. So, again, start to see that threat kind of expand as we go more into the next couple of days, starting off into tomorrow. And then as you go over into Saturday again, we're seeing another slight risk of excessive rainfall that goes all the way from the PD areas, go all the way down to the low country areas once again. But watch up there in the upstate. The upstate has no risk of flash flooding. And then if you look in the dark green, or at least the far upstate, but like the southern parts of the upstate going into the Midlands, the western low country, have a 5% risk there. So that's pretty much the whole breakdown off of what the risks are looking like over the next couple of days, because Sunday and Monday comes along and you're not seeing any risk of flash flooding Sunday and Monday. So again, this is tonight, this is tomorrow, and then this right here is on Saturday. Now, as we go in and take a look at the crazy score for tonight, we're at an 18. We are at an 18. Why? Well, mainly because we have a 17 on the condition scale, I guess because of obviously the huge amounts of rainfall that's currently going on right now inside of the upstate. So that's a main reason, but also we have a 1 on the alerts tab. And if I go in and check that out, it seems like it's because of a flood advisory up there for Greenville in Spartanburg. Yeah, there is one. A flood advisory up here for the next 2 hours up here near Landrum, Campobello, South Carolina, and Edmond, South Carolina for the next 2 hours. Tigerville's included in there as well. And that's between 1 to 2 inches of rainfall has fallen. That was at 4:05 p.m. So actually that was a long time ago that they issued that. It was issued, 4 hours ago, but expires in 2 hours. So that's over there inside of the upstate. That's, 1 point added in. So now we're at an 18 up there. But nothing too concerning. Nothing too concerning at the moment. And so that's pretty much it for the first part of the forecast. Now for the second part, which is usually the more important part, the models. Times at the bottom part of your screen. Please make sure that you go in and pay attention to that, as that is very important to do so. And as we start off here at 8 p.m., you can see shower activity, you can see downpour activity as we move all the way through into tonight. You move over into tomorrow. Here's around 12 o'clock in the morning right here. And one thing that you immediately do notice is that a lot of that rainfall now moves from west to east, and it moves from the upstate all the way over into the PD areas, all the way over into the Grand Strand areas. Now, as you get to around 2 to 3, maybe even around 4 o'clock in the morning, more shower activity tries to move its way over from west to east, over into the Midland areas, even into the PD areas once again by 9 a.m. Now, as you move to around 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, so maybe even as early as noon, even, you can see a good amount of shower and storm activity again inside the upstate, inside the Midlands, inside the PD, and it kind of just continues in these areas. But watch as we move to around 3 to 4 p.m. Look at all the shower and storm activity that lights up in the low country once you get to around 5 p.m. All of this rainfall that we're seeing right here in the low country areas just develops, and it sits in some of these areas, and that's where a lot of that flash flooding potential could come from. Storms that sit, showers that sit for a long period of time, and just cause issues overall. Now, that continues and moves its way east, and you can actually kind of see almost where the front kind of is if you go in and kind of see where it kind of stalls out at. But as you move even to around 10 p.m., for example, moving all the way into the early morning hours of Saturday, you're still seeing shower and storm activity even going into Saturday afternoon from areas of the Midlands over into the PD areas. And it's just a continuous train of motion, a continuous train of storm activity that continues its way west to east. Again, start off here at 8 p.m., push it forward in a little bit of a time lapse here, and you can see just how active. You can just see how active it gets as we move forward throughout just like the next couple of hours here. And I'm going to push this to go even faster. But from 8 p.m. all the way into tomorrow, all the way into Saturday, just continuing to see that train of shower and storm motion. Now, as we move over into how much rainfall we could potentially receive as we move throughout the next 48 hours, according to the HRRR, right now it's looking like that we're seeing maybe around a good inch of rainfall in Greenville, maybe 2/10 of an inch in Columbia. I mean, maybe some areas may get up to 3 inches. I see even 4 to maybe even 4.5 inches of rainfall over inside of Marlboro County up there. So the main thing here is with the HRRR, and that's one difference that I say all the time, is that when it comes to the official forecast from the National Weather Service, they take it off of a multiple model basis. It's not just one model that they take it from, and they put the potential total precipitation in these areas as you move throughout the next 24 hours. Now, what the HRRR does is it takes whatever scenario that it's given, rather it be the worst case scenario or the high case scenario, the worst case scenario or the more lower case scenario to where not too much happens. You can see for sure that some areas, again, are around 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. That is nowhere near, what the official National Weather Service said, but that's just because the HRRR is non-biased. It's going to have whatever it says, and whatever it says is whatever it's going to say. And so it also takes individual thunderstorms into account, because models usually do not predict how heavy rain can fall on, in a certain period of time. Like, I bet if I can go back about an hour or two and check and see what's going on with the storms now, it's not even going to be close compared to how maybe heavy that rainfall may be. But what the HRRR does is it takes also that whatever its projected amount of rainfall is, and it takes it and it adds it up. And so it has a storm that could potentially get going up there in Marlboro County that can drop 4.5 inches of rainfall. Will that happen? Maybe, maybe not. But you can see, and this is a clear example, that there could be some isolated pockets, scattered pockets even, from upstate down towards the coastal areas, with areas that could see 2, 3, 4+ inches of rainfall. Even in North Carolina, which I know that's not South Carolina, a foot of rainfall over there near Wilmington. So, again, will that happen? Maybe, maybe not. But the possibility is there. And so that's the reason why we have these multitude of risk of flash flooding over the next, 48 to um, around the next 48 to 72 hours, just because of what these storms could potentially do as they get going more and more. But enough about that. Moving on over into the long-term future. I'm going to open these back up. I accidentally closed the stream out by accident. Now, what about the long-term future? So past Saturday afternoon, what are we going to see as we move into Saturday evenings, even going into Sunday? Sunday comes along, brings in some rain activity still. But watch as we go into Monday. Watch as we go into Tuesday. You can see some showers kind of going on, maybe some storms going on, but you don't see anything too bad. You don't really see anything too bad, and it kind of returns back to that regular summertime thunderstorm activity. Now, as you move over into Wednesday, going into Wednesday afternoon, and even Wednesday night, it looks like another storm system could try to pay us a visit as we go into Wednesday. And then even as we move over into Thursday, going into Friday, I mean, it continues to look like we are going to stay more inside of the risk for a good amount of shower and storm activity, even as we move into Thursday, Friday, Saturday or so. Now, as you move even further into the future, going into Monday, going into Tuesday, and just onward into the week after next week, you don't really see as much, and honestly, it doesn't really look that bad either. But a good storm activity could potentially happen as we move towards the end part of next week. Not the end part of this week, because obviously we know that, but obviously the end part of next week, even the mid parts of next week, looks pretty active, and we could have another storm system that tries to move its way through. Now, if we go on and take a look at how much rainfall we could potentially see over the next 384 hours, according to the GEFS, it looks like that most of that rainfall occurs in the eastern parts of the state, which is what is expected. We've been talking about the eastern parts of the state receiving just the better rainfall chances and just more rainfall in general as we move throughout the next 300 to 400 hours. Now, even if you look into like the west, 3 inches of rainfall, I mean, that's a good amount of rainfall. Don't get me wrong. That's a great amount of rainfall there, especially for the drought condition that we have. But most of that rainfall continues to traverse its way over to the east and just produce a lot more, bringing us up to an average of 5 inches of rainfall throughout the next 380 hours over here inside of the PD areas. Now, the European, bit more on the lesser scale, but provides about a good 4 to 4.5 inches of rainfall over here inside of the Horry County areas once again. So, again, on the lesser scale than what the GEFS says, but a good amount of rainfall nonetheless for a lot of us. Now, as we go on and take a look at our temperatures now, because temperatures are also pretty important, and I'm almost done here. About to wrap this up now. We go on and move this into tonight, going over into tomorrow. We know that we're going to be cooler. We have a cold front that tries to move its way in as we move into tonight, going into tomorrow. And it's going to be cooler for sure as we move into tomorrow. Even Saturday is going to be cooler. Sunday is going to try to be cooler. But where the coolness just completely fails is going into Monday. Monday, we go in and we're back already to close to 10 degrees above average. We move over into Tuesday. And again, we're around 10 to 15 degrees above average. Wednesday comes along and another storm system, like I said, pops up, and it does bring us another cold front moving into Wednesday of next week. Thursday, Friday, for example, again, more cooler air tries to move its way in, but as we go even into next weekend, so not this weekend, but next weekend, more cooler air. So it does look like cooler air definitely could be a major pattern changer for us as we move throughout the next 300 plus hours. Now, what are those temperatures actually going to look like? We go over into Thursday, going over into Friday, even into Saturday. We're seeing, those temperatures start to be a bit lower. But as we move into Monday, the first thing you notice, we're back up to the upper 90s. We're back into the hundreds. Tuesday comes along, again, back into the 90s and near like 105. Wednesday comes along, and we're back to just getting down to being cooler once again. So we are just continuing to see, more than likely, a cooler resurgence kind of towards the end of July, maybe even moving to early August. But it looks like going into later portions of August, those temperatures will start to get right back up once again. But cooler temperatures are definitely trying to make themselves known. Now, if we look at those heat index values as we move into next week, Monday, for example, brings us up to around 105, maybe even a bit hotter than that. Tuesday, also back up to near 105. And just overall, those heat index values kind of just stay near that 105 range to maybe even a little bit more as we move throughout the rest of the month there. And then in terms of how much, in terms of the temperature anomalies as we move throughout the next 200 plus hours, just to look at pattern changes, it looks like that for the most part, it looks cooler as we move into portions of early August, even as we move into like the 5th, for example, and the 6th. It does seem like he wants to try and warm up a little bit, but a pretty significant heat up could definitely be possible as we move over into August as well. So overall, temperatures are all over the place. They want to be cool, they want to be hot. Overall, they're going to continue to flip, and there's going to be times where we see warmer than average temperatures and then also cooler than average temperatures. So all of that we're going to have to figure out, and we will continue to figure out. But that's all that I have to say in terms of the temperatures here, and that's just it for the model. So obviously we know Bertha is now a tropical depression. It is now no longer doing anything tropical storm related. 35-mile-per-hour winds right now, moving west at 13 miles per hour, and tropical storm conditions are forecasted in portions of the warning area in Texas and Louisiana through the evening, but calming down. Isolated flash flooding remains possible along the Texas Gulf Coast and South Texas into tonight, and coastal flooding along the northern Gulf Coast is expected to gradually subside. So there's just a lot of calming going on right now. This is the track of it right now, moving its way west. By 7 p.m., it's going to be over there near Houston. By 1 a.m., continuing its way over towards central Texas. And then this is what it currently looks like right now. Currently looks like, again, no threat to South Carolina as it wanes down. And that's pretty much all. So, I don't think there's really going to be any more update here from Bertha here. So that's probably going to be our last official update on it. Unless they still have something on it tomorrow. But for right now, I think that that's the last final update on it. So we're back. We're going to go back to seeing no active activity throughout the Atlantic throughout the next 7 days, because behind Bertha there's nothing that we're seeing here, but maybe in the near future, and we'll talk about that another night. But now it's drought time, so I'm going to go in and check out the prediction, and it's a 50-50 prediction right now. Looks like that mostly everyone is split. 50% thinks that the drought has expanded, and 50% thinks that the drought has shrunk / stayed the same. And so if you don't know what I'm talking about how we go on and guess what the U.S. Drought Monitor has put out for a drought outlook for us in the state of South Carolina. And for right now, 50%, like I said, thinks that the drought has expanded. 50% thinks that it stayed the same or shrunk. 0% thinks that the drought is gone or that the abnormally dry is gone, which I do agree with. I do not think that that is the case here. So we'll be ending the poll in like a couple of seconds. So please make sure that you go on and vote. And while they're going on, if we have any last minute votes trying to come in, we've had 38 people tune in tonight and only 7 likes. So if you're a part of that group of 31 that have not hit the like button yet, please go in and do so, as it's free. It's free, and it always will be free. And we're going to go in and end the poll right now. So that is it. 50-50 shot. Let's go and get a drum roll real quick, and then we will go on and reveal the answer for tonight. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you, this looks almost the exact same. I don't really see too much different at all here. I'm going to make sure, though, but, honestly, I'm confident enough to where I can say for sure that I believe that there's just no way that this would technically be an expansion. But I'm going to go in and check my answer. Oh, shoot, I did not say my answer. Well, y'all are going to think I'm cheating, but I'm not cheating. And I did agree with the people who said that it shrunk and stayed the same. I promise I was not cheating. That was my actual prediction. But, I mean, yeah, I see a couple of areas that did decrease. I see some areas in the red, up there in Marlborough County that did kind of decrease a little bit. And actually, I do see a little bit that decreased over there in Charleston County as well. And if I go in and check, because this was that one, we're going to move over into, there we go. This one, there we go. All right, so yeah, I mean, I do see a couple of areas that kind of did shrink a little bit, but for the most part, it doesn't really look like too much has changed just besides those two areas. So I think that is a win tonight over there for the that's a win over there for the drought people that said that it shrunk or stayed the same. So congratulations to y'all and me for getting it correct for tonight. Also, I see NHC will indicate the last advisory, so expect additional bulletins tonight and Friday. Well, thank you so much for that information. So that is the last advisory that they will put out. Thank you so much for that information. But that's all that I can see here. Drought prediction is over, so let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. We're going to start off here inside of the chat, and we're going to start off with my Aunt Lula, who is here first. Says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Hello, everyone. I pray that you all had a great day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for that. Hopefully, everyone else did. My name says, hello, Jane. Hello to you. It was so nice outside right now until I wanted to stay out longer. Then my Aunt Lou also says, today in Georgetown, Ohio was 93. Currently, it's 84. Today's weather was not bad at all. We did get a hit or miss shower for about 2 minutes. Well, thank you to the both of y'all for giving me and everybody else here an update for y'all's location, for y'all's weather here. Currently, at my house, it's 88. Feels like 102. Yes, it still feels like 102. And then we had a maximum temperature of 98 degrees. 98 degrees at my house for today. Now, Thad returns. Says, good evening, gentlemen, the 360 weather family. I trust all is well. Glad to see that you're back. It was hot one here in San Antonio. We had a light breeze come through early on in the morning. He also says, the current temperature is 97, yet it feels like 108 with the heat index. Well, thank you so much for that weather report. For you over there inside of San Antonio. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. And then Maya Lewis says, I'm looking forward to some more rain. Trail says, greetings, everyone. Greetings to you as well. And that's all that I can see here throughout the chat for tonight. All I can see here throughout the chat for tonight. So we're going to go on real quick and give out the top fan question of the night for tonight. If you don't know what the top fan question is, it's where we ask the question and we see who is paying attention. Whoever gets the question first, correct first, will be the top fan of the night for tonight. So remember, the top fan question can be anything from the beginning of the stream all the way towards the end of the stream. And so right now, it seems like that as we move on into a question from early, because I still don't see my main. Let me check though real quick just to make sure nobody else did it. And I don't see anything. I'm still waiting for one thing. Nobody still has done it yet, and I'm going to continue to keep on waiting for it until somebody finally does. But for right now, it does seem like that it's going to be another question for tonight. And I'm going to say, as we move into this clouds question, because I want to do it about cloud cover. That's where I feel like the topic should be at for tonight. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it off the radar, actually. I take that back. When we were talking about the radar at the beginning of the live stream, I said there was a mesoscale discussion or an area of a specific weather event that we had to watch for up there inside the upstate. What was that specific event? What was that specific event that we were supposed to watch for up there inside the upstate as we move throughout the next couple of hours? If you get that correct, you'll be top fan of the night for tonight. And I think that's a pretty reasonable, a pretty fair question to ask there. Now, let's go on real quick. And first off, Epiphany World says, hey everyone, well, hello to you. And then Let's go on and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking 4 areas. What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we go in and give them their forecast for them. Starting off with San Antonio first. You have low temperatures tonight at 79, high temperatures for tomorrow at 94, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 77. Chance of thunderstorms for tonight, and then tomorrow, no precipitation is expected at this time. Now, in terms of severe weather, for you, honestly, you look like that you are going to continue to stay in the clear for severe weather, but excessive rainfall wise, you would think with Bertha kind of making its way towards you, you do have a risk of excessive rainfall, and it's only for tonight, though. Tonight. Isolated flash flooding is possible, but other than that, you're good. Now, as we go on and take a look over into your future, because temperatures will continue to stay up into the upper 90s, if not get close to 100 as you move later on into next week, but also rainfall will continue to just be out of your hair as you move throughout Friday, going all the way into next week. So, limited rain chances, going to continue to be dry for you. Now for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at 67, high temperatures for tomorrow at 77, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 69. Showers are expected tonight, showers are likely tomorrow, and then thunderstorms are likely tomorrow night. Severe weather and excessive rainfall wise, you do have a risk of excessive rainfall for tonight. Isolated flash flooding is possible. Tomorrow, another risk of isolated flash flooding, and then on Saturday, another risk of isolated flash flooding. But would not, surprise me if they moved you over into that slight risk, and you're right on that border anyway. So I would say that you pretty much are in a risk of scattered flash flooding for tonight going into tomorrow. But past that, you look good. Now, in terms of severe weather for you, no risk of severe weather for you. And then for your future, continues to be active even if you go all the way through into the weekend. You go all the way into Monday, though, things kind of calm down a little bit. And then temperature-wise, you're going to continue to go up into like the upper 80s, going into the lower 90s going into next week. But again, for the rest of the week, going into the weekend, you're going to actually be pretty cool. So let's see. My Aunt Lewis says storms moving from east to west. And then Epiphany World says we need to watch out for flash flooding. It does have to do with rainfall. It does. Storms moving from west to east. And honestly, I would say that it's more simple than you think. It's more simple than you think. But you're on the right track for when it comes to flash flooding. But don't overthink it. It's something simple. Something simple. I don't need a whole explanation. Don't need a whole explanation. Tornadoes, no. That's not a severe weather threat for tonight. Now, as we move over into Philadelphia, being the next location, you have low temperatures tonight at 63, high temperatures for tomorrow at 85, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 64. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow. But in terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall, it looks like that you are in the clear for the next 5 days, excessive rainfall-wise and severe weather-wise. So you're good there. And then as we move over into your risk for your future, honestly, you look pretty good. As you move throughout the next couple of days here throughout Monday, nice and dry conditions. You move even into Tuesday. Finally, you get a little bit of a rain chance, around a 70% chance. And then as you move over into Wednesday, those highs get into the 80s once again. So I don't really see you getting too much inside of the 90s. I don't really see you getting too much in the 90s as you move throughout the next 7 days here. And then that's all that I can see here for you. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, let's see, hailstorms, no. Nope, not hailstorms either. Again, it does have to do with rainfall. And again, it's pretty simple. In fact, it's only 2 words simple. It's 2 words. 2 words, that's all it is, 2 words. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 75. High temperatures for tomorrow at 98, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 78. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow. And then just for your future in general, you're looking nice and dry. Even if you go all the way into next week, Thursday, it will be hot though, up to around 103 in terms of your actual temperatures. Heat index values all the way up into the upper 100s. When I say upper 100s, I mean like 107, 108, 109, 9 or so. And then that's all that I can see here. Let's see. I do see the correct answer. I do see the correct answer. He says now we just guess it now. Well, I mean that's the point. That's the point. Just go in and guess. There's nothing wrong with just guessing. Technically you could just spam type stuff and get it correct. There's no rules against it, so you can just guess even if you're completely off. No repercussions for it at all. So I want everybody to guess. I want everybody to just start putting stuff inside the chat so we can have a winner and see just who gets it first. But obviously, you could get it quicker if you actually, were here and you actually were remembered what I said at that time. But like I said, anything's fine at all. And I do see the correct answer. Let's go on and give a drum roll real quick. It was Heavy Rainfall, so Epiphany World 999 is the correct we did get the correct answer for tonight. So congratulations to you. You are the top fan of the night for tonight. If you want to be just like Epiphany World and go on and get the top fan title of the night, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m., being a subscriber, and then also being here early so that you can go on and get the win, the W for you. And obviously paying attention, because the more that you pay attention, the more that you keep some of the information in your mind, the higher chance you have of winning. And so she is the winner for tonight. We do have some honorable mentions for tonight as well. My Aunt Lulu and Thad were the 2 honorable mentions for tonight. So give them a round of applause. She says, watching from Monk's Corner. Well, I'm glad to see you here. And for right now, it looks like that is all. So we did just get a new special weather statement, though, up there inside of the upstate just to the south of Anderson. Remember this heavy rainfall I was talking about near Star, Iva, moving towards due west? Well, that now has 40-mile-per-hour winds with it, and it's going to continue to move itself towards the east. So that's something to watch for up there inside the upstate for some strong winds with that storm now. But I don't see anything else here inside the chat. I'll be back tomorrow morning for your Friday morning forecast update. Also tomorrow evening for your Friday evening forecast update. Let's just get through tomorrow and we will be finally at the weekend. Finally, after this long week, we're finally getting there. So let's just get through tomorrow. We'll be there. And then remember, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, share with all the people that you know, friends, family members, acquaintances, as we're at 780 subscribers trying to get to that main goal of 800. Tomorrow, 8 p.m., make sure that you're there for that Friday evening forecast update. We'll continue to talk about the rainfall threats and any more new information that we have. But that's all. Hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you are new.